Welcome to Before and After Christ, a journey through the sacred narrative of Scripture. Here, we do not rush the story. We walk through it. We listen. We reflect. Because before we understand redemption, we must understand origin. Before we celebrate the cross, we must understand the human heart. This is more than history. This is identity. This is before and after Christ. Today, we conclude the season of Genesis. And before we move forward to Exodus, we need to look back. Because Genesis is not just the beginning of the world. It is the beginning of us. And at the end of this episode, I will leave you with a reflection to help you find answers to your doubts and anxieties. Now let's start a clear and deep summary of Genesis. First, creation. In the beginning, God creates light, earth, heavens, life, and then humanity, created not merely to exist, but to reflect. Genesis shows us that we were created with dignity, purpose, and relationship. Before the fall, there was communion. Before fear, there was identity. Second the fall, the human heart revealed, but sin enters. Not as ignorance, but as choice. Adam and Eve decide to live independently, and there the fracture is born. Shame, guilt, fear, separation. Genesis reveals something profound. The problem of humanity is not external. It is internal. 3. Cain and Abel, the first conflict. Sin spreads. Jealousy turns into violence. A brother kills another. Genesis shows that when the heart moves away from God, human relationships break apart. 4. The flood, judgment and mercy. Corruption multiplies. But God preserves Noah. The flood is not only judgment, it is also a new beginning. Even in the face of human failure, God chooses to preserve hope. 5. Babel, collective pride. Humanity decides to build a tower, not to reach God, but to replace God. Babel reveals the human desire for autonomy without dependence. And God scatters them, not out of revenge, but to prevent pride from completely destroying the purpose. 6. Abraham, the promise under the stars. And then something changes. God does not abandon humanity. He chooses one man, Abraham, and he makes a promise, not based on merit, but on grace. Genesis makes it clear. Redemption begins with a promise. 7. Isaac, between sacrifice and trust. On Mount Moriah, Abraham learns that faith is not control, it is surrender. And God reveals that he himself will provide. This scene points to something greater that was still to come. 8. Jacob, the man who wrestled with God. Jacob begins as a deceiver. He ends as Israel. He wrestles with God and leaves limping, but he leaves transformed. Genesis shows that God does not discard the imperfect. He transforms them. 9. Joseph, from the pit to the palace. Betrayed, sold, forgotten, but not abandoned. Joseph teaches us that the process hurts, but it prepares. Human evil does not cancel divine purpose. And Genesis ends in Egypt, not in defeat, but with the promise still alive. The central message of Genesis. Genesis answers 3 fundamental questions. Where did we come from? Why are we broken? Has God given up on us? And the final answer is clear. No. God begins a story of redemption. But it is not the end. It is only the beginning. Sunrise, final reflection, hope, and application. Maybe you see yourself somewhere in Genesis. Maybe you are. In creation, searching for identity. In the fall, struggling with guilt. In Babel, trying to prove something. Like Jacob, wrestling with God. or like Joseph, waiting for the promise to be fulfilled. But here is what Genesis teaches us. God does not abandon unfinished stories. He starts something, and he continues it. Genesis ends with a family in Egypt. But God's plan is only beginning. And if he started something in you, he will continue it. This is not just history. This is your story. This is before and after Christ. And God is still writing.